Hi guys, and welcome back to part 7 of a production tutorial series. Sorry it's been a little while since the last video, but recently I picked up a Moog Slim Fatty and a Prophet 08, so I've been very busy creating patches for those two synths. Anyway, today's tutorial is synthesis again, and again we're going to be using Native Instruments Massive. And this is actually a request by a user called Wavestrike IDM who wanted to know how to make the Roygbiv bass patch by Boards of Canada. It's a very interesting bass sound and quite a classic, and although it's not funk or soul orientated, it's definitely worth covering. I actually made a quick demo of the patch earlier today playing the original bass line, and this is what it sounds like. So I hopefully came close enough. It's not quite 110% perfect, but it's as close as I could get it. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to do as always is File, New Sound to initialize the patch. Now this bass line is basically made of 2 oscillators, 2 filters, 2 envelopes, and 2 Lfos. The envelope 1 is controlling the filter cutoff, and envelope 4 which is controlling the amp slightly. So what we're going to do is oscillator 1, we're going to choose square saw 1, which it should be by default. And we're going to push this into filter 1 and turn the amp to about 3 o'clock. Okay, we're going to turn on oscillator 2 and we're going to choose pulse saw pulse width modulation. And what we're going to do here is we're going to change the pulse saw position to 3 o'clock as well. And we're going to bring the filter cutoff into filter 1. And we're going to drag this down by an octave to -12. Last thing to do is just to set up the noise generator, so it should be on by default, but if not, make sure it's on. And set to white noise, and color is all the way full to the right. And we're going to bring the amp for that to about 11 o'clock. And we're going to push this into filter 1 as well. Okay, so now if I play, we're sort of starting to get the sound we want. So the next thing to look at is the Lfos, because we want to modulate the pitch of both of the oscillators slightly. So we're going to set LFO 5, so let's go to LFO 5, and we're going to turn the rate to about 2 o'clock. And we're going to push the crossfade curve all the way up, and we're going to drag the sine wave so it's peaking in the middle. And we'll click on the D-pad for LFO 5 and assign it to the pitch for oscillator 1. Now we're going to change to LFO 6, and we're going to set it up similarly. We're going to drag the rate slider until it's just between 12 and 1 o'clock, just a couple of clicks past 12. And we're going to leave the sine wave where it is. I'm going to push this into the top for the crossfade curve because we only want the top one. And we're going to assign that to oscillator 2 in the same manner. Okay, so looking back at the oscillator section again now, we're going to modulate oscillator 1 by 0.04%, and we're going to oscillate the pitch of oscillator 2 by 0.16. So now if I play, you can hear there's slightly, so get a bit of movement going on in the sound there. Okay, so the next thing to look at is the filter section. So what we're going to do is we're going to go filter 1 and we're going to choose low pass 4. And we're going to drag the cutoff to about 9 o'clock. And we're going to bring the resonance right down. And we're also going to choose series or serial for the filter setup. And we're going to turn on filter 2 and we're going to assign it high pass 2. Now, want the resonance right down as well, and the filter we just want about 2 clicks up from the bottom, just a tiny bit. This is basically just going to shave off a little bit of the bottom end for us. And we're going to bring up the volume for filter 2, and we're going to make sure the mix output is from mix 2 for filter 2. Okay, so that's basically it for the filter setup. Now we need to look at the envelope. So we're going to go to envelope 1, which we're going to control the filter cutoff with. So what we want to do is leave the attack where it is and bring the decay up to just between 2 and 3 o'clock. and we want to bring the release up to about 11 o'clock until it's just, the line here is just in line with the end of the gate button. Okay, and we're going to assign this to filter 1. So what we're going to do is click on the D-pad for envelope 1, and we'll click in the box here, and we're going to click and drag up until the end of the blue line is about, let's say about 2 o'clock. Okay, so if I play now, you see we're controlling the filter with the envelope. Okay, next thing to look at is envelope 4, which is the amp envelope. And we're just going to make a few changes here. First of all, we're going to bring the attack right down. And we're going to bring the decay right down. Make sure the attack's down as well. And we're going to bring the release up to about 11 o'clock. So we're getting this kind of shape. Maybe just before 12 o'clock. Okay, that should do for that. So now if we play. Okay, so we're nearly getting the sound we want. Final thing to look at is the oscillator tab. And we're going to choose the rate version for glide. And we actually want to change the time setting to just past 9 o'clock. Okay, so that's about right. So now. Okay, final thing to look at now is the effects setup. So let's go to the effects section. And for effects 1, we're going to choose the browner tube. And we're going to bring the dry wet right way down and then move it up about 2 clicks from the bottom. And we're going to do about the same thing with drive as well. And we just want to grip the sound up a tiny bit. Nothing too much. Okay, for effects 2, we're going to choose reverb. And we're going to bring the dry wet to about just before 9 o'clock. And size and density and color we're going to leave where they are. And the final thing we want to do is just to knock off a little bit of the low and high end with the EQ. So we're going to turn on the EQ. And we're going to put low shelf and high shelf to both at about the 11 o'clock position. Okay, and that should be pretty much everything for the sound now. So if I play. Final thing we could do is just bring up the master volume a tiny bit because it's quite quiet. And that's everything we need. So I hope you found this useful, and I hope it was close enough for the sound that you wanted, Wave Strike IDM. Anyway, stay tuned for the next one.